I'm Geraldine David, and I'm here because I have mentally ill children. Natasha she's always been special. When she was a young child, she was a mischievous little girl. She was the type that, oh no, if I had her first, maybe I would have been hesitating to have another one. But she was like that for the first couple of years, and then she started to change. And, you know, what a parents that's got, you know, the terrible twos think, oh, good, she's grown out of that. But she actually became quite shy. When we finally did go to Dr. Hoffer, was his name, he told me that if we had taken her back then, he might have been able to avoid a full-blown schizophrenia. He said because he was really good at picking up on symptoms in children. But it was too late, she was already a teenager. But then, meanwhile, she continued to get more and more quiet. She got to the point where she'd, two things. One thing was very irritating because she'd stand right beside me. She would be right beside me no matter where I went. It was like a shadow. And then she didn't want me talking to people about her. And one day I said to her, you know what, I'm going to say what I want. So if you don't want to hear it, you can go somewhere else. But she got to the point where when people come in, she'd be gone. She'd go to her room, and she'd stay there for hours. And I kind of, in the back of my mind, she was a teenager by then, I kind of knew there was something wrong, but you don't know. I mean, you only know what you see. And then when she was 15, she brought me an article on schizophrenia. And she asked me to read it, and I didn't. And then the next day she asked me to read it. And she went on every day asking me to read this article. And finally one night after she went to bed, I read the article. And in the morning, being the knowing where everything is person, she saw I had moved the article. And she said, oh, did you read that? And I said, yes, I did. And she said, what did you think? I said, well, that's about schizophrenia. I don't know anybody that has that. And she said, I have that. She was only 15. I said, no, you don't have that. No, that's a genetic thing. We don't have that in our family. That was kind of the end of that conversation, but I started to see she'd have anger issues. She'd get angry for little things. And again, she's 15, so, you know, what do you put it down to? She's a teenager. And then one day I got a call from the hospital in Chilliwack here to tell me that she had been taken in the night before and she had tried to commit suicide. But they couldn't tell me anything because of the Privacy Act. By this time she was older, she was almost 19. I didn't understand anything about it. I was taking this course, and he said nobody is going to get better because the synapses in the brain are damaged. But they can take pictures and get the pictures of the damaged area. Well, why can't they fix it? Well, because the next day it might be somewhere else. So that made me understand a little bit there. And then he made me understand the voices by sitting 6 of us, there was 12 in the class, 6 of us sat, and the instructor gave us each a sheet of paper and a pencil. And he said, when they come in, the other 6 went out with another instructor. He said, I'm going to tell you what to do. Simple things, he said, like draw a circle on the paper, and in the circle draw a square, whatever. He said, I want you to, don't pay attention to them, just listen to me and do what I tell you. So we're sitting there all ready to go, you know, and they come in with a card each. Different message on each card. And they're all whispering. And he's telling us in a regular voice, draw a circle, and then draw the square. Well, he told us that already, so we knew those. And then you couldn't concentrate. And you felt like saying, just go, get out of here. And he said, this is what your family member hears. When you're trying to expect them to listen to whatever, they're hearing all these voices, and they can't drown you out. They can't drown the voices out like we can drown other sounds out. I used to think, you know, they don't have to do that. They can make choices. But when voices are telling you to do something and yelling at you, it doesn't matter who else is telling you to do something. Save your breath. And that's why when police officers or emergency services or anybody is telling her what she's got to do, and the voices are telling her not to, the voices are telling her those people are just trying to hurt you, or they're going to poison you when you get there. She can listen to the voices because she hears them all the time. Education is the most important thing, and I think everybody that's involved in any way with mentally ill patients, people, needs education. I don't know whether it's the police, whether it's emergency services, whether it's ambulance drivers, nurses, every single one of them should have to take courses like the family to family. Because there's courses out there that teach you lots. Every time you talk to somebody that's involved with mental illness, whether it's a consumer, the patient, or whether it's a family member, or whether it's a medical person, and I don't know with the police because I've never had much interaction with them, I learn something. I hope they learn something from me too. But I do know that people need support, and when people have a newly diagnosed family member, my opinion is that they should go to a support group, and there should be people there to help them. In the case of a mentally ill person that's in an episode, I don't think those rights should be upheld, because I'm not there to hurt her. The police are not there to hurt her. The doctors are not there to hurt her. The nurses are not there to hurt her. She's there to hurt her. Her husband's not there to hurt her. So be open about it. Say, hey, your daughter's in here. I can't get in touch with her husband. Do you want to come out? I don't mind going out. I don't care if it's the middle of the night. But even to tell me, because maybe I'll be able to tell them something they can do or something to watch for. I think when it's a mentally ill person, I don't care how old they are actually, I think that the people that are their caregivers or their prime caregivers should have facts, because it's pretty hard to deal with something if you don't have the facts on the something you're dealing with. The things that have improved with the police officers is in the past, they've bruised her, they've twisted her arm and made it sore, they've done all sorts of rough things, pulled her hair. I saw one officer pulling her hair one day to get her out of the car. She was bracing herself not to get out of. But now they don't do that. They try to talk to her, and they've come a long way, I think, or at least the officers now are better trained. One thing does not work with her ever is to be bullied, for the police to yell at her, to order her to do something. You may as well tell the wind not to blow. But if you deal with her calmly and act like her friend, even though you're in a situation you're not her friend, but if she feels you're her friend, she'll open up. And she'll mostly be willing to cooperate. But when she doesn't cooperate, I tell you, she can outrun 4 police officers. You fellas are sitting here talking about your family members that's got schizophrenia, and you've been doing this for 20 or 30 or 40 years. I'm not doing this for 20 or 30 or 40 years. And the lady that was in charge, she said, well, are you going to kill yourself? I said, no. She said, are you going to disown your daughter? I said, no. She said, then you're going to do this for the rest of your life. This is your life. It will improve. It'll get better. It'll get worse. It'll get better. It'll get worse. But this is your life. And I didn't believe her. I thought, no way. Do I believe her today? You bet I do. It's hard for a parent to see a child, or anybody, but especially a child, to suffer and not be able to help them. And it's also hard to have them shut you out when they are in an episode. I think parents have to learn ways to relate, ways to figure out what's true and what's not. But I think if we work together for a better outcome for our family members, it's not going to go away, unfortunately, but if we can work with them and just do the best we can, it's all we can all do. I just had a lady in there ask me how I cope with it. Well, you have to cope with it. It's part of my life. It's going to always be part of my life. It's kind of if you're born with a Down syndrome child. It's your child, no matter what is wrong with that child. Get out there. Don't hide it. Don't have stigma. No, I don't want to admit my family has got a mental illness. Admit it, because there's a lot of us involved in that, or a lot of us have family members.